Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to be taking a look at what should hopefully be a fairly small, discrete task. Um, I guess I'll jump into the game real quick here and show sort of what the current state of things are. So when you launch Gunmetal Arcadia, oh, you know what? This is not going to work, right? I'm off to a fantastic start in this video already. All right, obviously you can see here it jumped me into one of my test levels where I've got a biped enemy running around. That's not what we're looking at today. I'm going to go ahead and close Steam here for a second too so that I stop getting that pop-up every time I run the game. Um, so if I go into the property pages, you can see I have some command line parameters here where I'm just basically telling it to jump into a specific campaign, a specific map, and a specific room within that map. I don't want those right now. If I just run the game normally, you'll start up, show the minor key games, splash screen, go through the intro, go to the title screen, and then I come to this campaign menu. This may or may not be something that I ship the game with. It depends on whether I plan to add any additional campaigns post-launch. This is something that was in Super Win the game. You just never see it most of the time unless multiple campaigns are available. So very likely Gunmetal Arcadia and Gunmetal Arcadia 0 will have that same support. You can see here I have a Xanadu test map. Xanadu, as I've mentioned in the past, is the project name for Gunmetal Arcadia. And then I have Xanadu Gaiden, which is the project name for Gunmetal Arcadia 0. You'll see this one is grayed out and it says it's missing map entry data, so it won't let me jump to that map. I can select this one, and it'll bring up a character select screen that doesn't do anything yet. And then if I select a character, it takes me into a map, and the colors are all messed up there because I have a bug where if you make changes to one campaign, the palettes in another campaign get messed up. I'm not looking at that today either. What I am looking at today is where I had that option grayed out, and it was saying I couldn't jump into that map. The reason it says that is because, let's see, if I go into my level editor here, actually I'll open a second instance of my editor so I can show what correct data would look like. Anyway, okay, so this is my test map that I've been showing for a while now, months and months. And you'll see here if I have campaign metadata. And there's just a little bit of XML markup here that says when you jump into this campaign, look for a map called test map and go to the room with coordinates 0, 0. So that would be the map that I'm in right now. This is the test map, and this room here, as you can see up here, this is room 0, 0. So when you start playing the game, you will spawn in this room at whatever spawn point it can find, which I have a debug spawn point placed up here. So yeah, when you start the game, it will spawn you right there, as we just saw when I launched the game a second ago. Now if I look at my test map over here, where I've just been sort of playing around with some concepts for enemies and stuff, if I go to the campaign metadata, I don't have any data there. So that's what, when it grayed out that menu option, that's because it was looking for metadata to tell it which map it should spawn the character in, and it couldn't find anything. So what I'm going to be working on today is adding sort of a fallback option there, where you can select a campaign that doesn't have any metadata specified, and then what it will do is it will just enumerate every map in that campaign and let you jump straight into one of those. And probably I will have some metadata per map, because I can specify metadata there too. I can specify metadata on basically anything in my editor. So I could have some metadata there that would say, okay, I know that when I load into this map, if I don't specify any other location to jump to, go to this room and maybe specify like the name of a spawn point that you want to jump to. So what that will let me do is have sort of like a debug menu where I can switch between different levels without having to like close the game and go to the editor and select a new level here in the editor and then launch the game again. I can just have a debug level select completely within the game. So that's what I'm doing today. Now that I'm like 6 minutes into this video, let's actually get started on work. So I'm going to basically just be making a copy of that campaign menu that I showed earlier. since it already has basically everything I need for like displaying a list of items. You know, I'm using basically the same sort of thing for the character select menu too. And basically, just where I have some code that enumerates all the campaigns, what I'm going to do is write some code to enumerate all of the maps within a single campaign. So hopefully that will work as expected and not create too many problems. So let's see if I even remember where I have some of this stuff. Alright, menus. Just going to start literally by creating a copy and paste of this menu. I don't know, is it silly if I just speak out loud every single thing that I'm doing, or is it obvious if you're watching? Alright, so I don't know why the audio is so stuttery. I don't know, maybe that's just in my headphones. It's been a while since I've played back on these videos, so I can't remember if it's as bad on the recording as it is in my headphones right now. But yeah, even just like little Windows sound effects are stuttering, and the music in the game was really bad. Anyway, let's see. So I'm also going to make a copy of this campaign enumeration thing wherever I had that. I'm not exactly sure where that one is. Not campaign menu. Alright, here we go. Alright, so I'll add those. Rename all these. And then of course replace this. So looks up. And go through and find and fix up any place where I have campaign written in here. Change it to levels. You know, I'm being sort of inconsistent with my terminology. I call them maps in my editor, so probably I should call them maps here too. But you know what? I've already started writing levels, so I'm just going to run with it here. And maybe sometime off camera I'll go back and fix these up. So something that I would like to do eventually, if I keep reusing this code again and again, is just create like a generic menu that can display a list of things, because I'm doing really the same stuff for this campaign menu and character selection, and now for this level selection. Probably that won't be the character select menu that I will ship with. I want to do something a little bit more flashy and arcadey, you know, something in the style of like you know, Ninja Turtles or Sunset Riders, where you have like all different characters you can pick from. But well, that's a little bit out in the future anyway, because I'm not going to have multiple characters to choose from in Zero. That's going to be a Gunmetal Arcadia feature. So yeah, that's a little bit further out. Anyway, I'm just going to go through and just, you know, replace campaign with level in this whole thing and make sure that doesn't mess anything up. Whatever. Yeah, sure, just replace all whatever. You know, I bet the compiler will let me know if there's a problem there. Alright, so let's see, this is... you know what, I already had this enumerate playable characters function over in the campaign enumeration class, which makes me think maybe I should just make level enumeration be a part of that class too, since it's already kind of dealing in just like enumerating all sorts of different things. So in fact, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And delete these things I just made. Come back over here and just add an option here that's enumerate. Oh, you know, as long as I'm rewriting it now, I'll go ahead and make it maps. Just be consistent. Let's see. Will a map need a file name? Possibly. Map may have entry data. That will just be a flag that says whether, you know, there was that metadata markup to tell where you should spawn in. So I might want that to stay the same. I'll figure that out as I start going through this. Then of course, I guess back here, this can change back to campaign enumeration. And this can be enumerate map, maps, etc. You know what? Oops. And everywhere where I wrote level, let's replace it with map. That definitely won't break anything. Right, I guess I should probably also rename the file. Yeah. And when I do this, it's going to break the subversion. I already added the file with the old name to subversion, so whatever, I'm going to have to add it again. Just make a mental note to do that before I commit this thing. Okay. Man, my programming skills are on point today. Let's see, this should be campaign enumeration, but it should be enumerate maps. And what is map details? I call it maps details. What did I call it in this one? Can be these, yeah. Some of this code here that was commented out is actually like super old. You have to win the game code for when, like, I thought that maybe I would have different campaigns that would specify like major and minor versions and the name of the author and the URL of the author's website and all this stuff, because I had some lofty ambitions of supporting a level editor, and then the game came out and I did some minimal work to enable the editor in the game, and you know, it was it turned out to not be something that I really cared that much about once the game was already out in the wild, and that's why I'm not really planning to support editor tools for, you know, Super Win or either of the Gunmetal games. Anyway, the point is I can go ahead and delete this. Most of this code down here is just like, you know, like I was talking about before, sort of this generic menu code for selecting things from a list. Some of that I may have to fix up as I go through this, but we'll see. The really important thing is going to be this enumerate maps function. So let's take a look first at this enumerate campaigns function and see exactly what this was doing. So, alright, so the first thing this does is asks the stream manager to output a list of every file that matches a given filter. And I'm using this .xdd file to denote, I guess, any campaign. Well, campaigns, but also kernels. I've talked a little bit about the fact that, like, I store game data that's common to, you know, anything that I might want to, like any future campaigns I might want. Those go in kernel data, so things like the player character sprite and all the weapons, things that you might want for any version of this game, that goes in kernel data. Campaign data would include things that are specific to, you know, for instance, what one DLC campaign. So, you know, maps, but also like any sprites or, you know, color palettes that are specific to that that campaign. So Let's see. So what I was doing here was I was going through every campaign file, looking to see whether it's a campaign or a kernel, and it has some markup to denote that. Although I'm curious why this is commented out here. Oh, well, right. So at one point this was, yeah, it gets a list of all the files. And at one point this function was just returning those file names directly, and now rather than returning those, it's, it has this enumerated campaign struct that includes some extra details about the campaign, and that was how I was able to tell, like, oh, you don't have any entry markup, so don't allow this option to be selected. Which is why we don't have to erase that thing, because we don't do anything with it. We just iterate through it and then it goes away. If I come over here, well, I guess I'm working off screen right now, so you can't see what I'm doing. But if I open up the package file that contains the Gunmetal Arcadia 0 campaign, I just have a little viewer application here that will show. Essentially, it's just a packed file format that contains everything that's related to that campaign. And the thing I care about is this one right here at the top. This is the .xdd file. This contains essentially all of the markup for the campaign, detailing, what maps are in there, what subpalettes, what sprites, and just in a cooked file format for faster loading. So I can open that, and you'll see this is basically just a viewer for cooked nested key value pairs. So I have information about the campaign, and this was all generated from XML markup. So I've got a prefix, a name. It specifies the file that contains the kernel data. We've got dimensions for the screen, all the stuff. The thing I care about is down here. I have this list of maps. And if I open this up, you'll see I have 3 maps in there. And they have some data. They have name, default map, level A, and playground. And if I come back over here to my editor view, you'll see I have default map, level A, and playground. So these are the 3 maps in our sort of test campaign for Gunmetal Arcadia Gaiden. So what I'm going to want to do when I'm enumerating maps is open up the campaign file just as if I were enumerating campaigns, but then step a little further into the markup. Look for this maps tag, look within it for any map tags, and then pull whatever data out there I need to. You'll see there's a metadata thing here, and right now it has nothing in it, but I guess I'll just go ahead and add some sample data there so you can see what that looks like. Close that. So let's say for this playground map, playground is a term that I picked up from when I was working at Gearbox. That would be the name of the map where we would just kind of test out all the different game systems across a variety of rooms. So we would have like a shooting gallery map where you could go in and test out different weapons that would be randomly generated and all that sort of thing. So I guess I'm adapting some of those naming concepts to my own work. But I'll come over here and just add a test tag foo equals bar. Add some sample metadata, and then just recompile. And I'll resave the kernel, resave the campaign. The kernel should not have changed. And yeah, in fact, if I yeah, so if I come over here, sorry, again, I'm working off screen. But if I come over to where the, so let's drag this over here. The kernel has not changed, the campaign has. So if I come in here now, and open this up, and go down to the map, playground map, you can see now it does have metadata there. It has a tag called test tag, and it has a key value pair that says foo equals bar. So when I add metadata, it just basically gets cooked into this nested key value pair file. So, okay, I guess I'll come back over here. So essentially what I want to do when I'm enumerating maps is basically start by doing exactly the same thing as enumerating campaigns. I want to get a list of all campaign files. So I had started renaming some of these just because that was the pattern I was going with, but I don't actually want to do that here. I want to find campaign files, and then I don't need to worry about kernels because that's not going to be part of this. And actually I'm just going to go ahead and reopen this so I can keep in mind what its contents look like. Let's see, so yeah, so I should have a tag called campaign, and within that I should have a tag called maps, and within that I should have any number of tags called map, and those will have some data, and I'll get to that in a bit. Let's see, campaign maps. This make string is just a wrapper around like creating a static hashed string, so I'm not, having to allocate some memory for that every time I hit this function. Let's see. So if my campaign definition has a child called campaign, then actually, I guess I'll just move this up here. I have to have a node called campaign. It has to have a node called maps. And then within that, what I'm going to do, def file node iterator. So then I'm just going to iterate through any tags called map within this tag called maps. And this is just my syntax for iterating through, what's it called? Advanced? What do I call that? Is it next? Yeah, it was advanced. I don't know why IntelliSense wasn't popping that up there. Anyway, yeah, this is just my syntax for iterating through cooked key value pairs. Okay, oh, because I didn't call it map it, that's why. That's why it wasn't showing up. Alright, so now if I do iterator.get, this will be one of the nodes. So for instance, that will be looking at this map node here, and then I can ask, does it have a name? Does it have metadata? So yeah, I guess I'll start with if it has a name, which there should be no way that you can't, but just in case. So as long as it has a name, it will show up in the list. And then I can also look at metadata to see whether it's a valid entry, to see whether I have data to say, okay, I know how to launch that map and position the character in there. No, not key, but not has key value. Well, I wanted to ask. Wait, is that right? I'm forgetting now what I'm putting in tags and what I'm putting in attributes. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so name is an attribute, which in code here I'm calling that a key value. So if it has a key value called name, then let's see, that's where we'll go ahead and create the enumerated map datum. Let's see. So that's actually not going to have a file name, right? Because the maps. Oh yeah. Well, I guess it does have like this .vmp file, which contains all the actual map data as far as like where the tiles are placed. But I don't think I really need to worry about that. The name is the thing that's more crucial. So not map file name, just map name. Let's see. New map map name equals. And my code is terrible today. This is what happens when I try recording a video right as soon as I roll off of like a full day of doing contract work, because I'm just kind of frazzled already. So So get key value, get name, and that will return a string, which is what I'm looking for. Okay, yeah, that's right. Then I guess I'll just use the exact same markup that I used for the metadata for the campaign, except that it doesn't need to have a map name in it because I already know the map I'm looking at. But I guess it will have, you know, map X and map Y, so it'll tell you the coordinates of the room that you are trying to enter. So let's see. Entry node equals iterator dot get child by name metadata. Yeah, so if the map node has another tag inside it called metadata, and that one has a node inside it called entry, then that will be our entry node. This B is dummy flag, just means basically I have a statically allocated key value pair node that I return if I couldn't find something. So like I can basically just index into things with any name, regardless of whether they actually exist, and it won't, you know, throw an error. It'll just give me back this statically allocated thing that says like, hey, I don't exist. So that's what I'm testing here. So if I get back that dummy node, or if I don't have map X or map Y properties, then I say I don't have entry data. Otherwise, I do have entry data. And then let's see, maps dot push new map. So that should be everything I need to do to enumerate maps, assuming I haven't made any silly mistakes in thinking through that. I will go ahead and do a debug build here, just so I can step through it in code and make sure everything is working as expected. Hi, cat. What's up? I don't know if my cat's meows are gonna get picked up by my headphone, but my cat is totally meowing at me. And of course, compilation errors because I haven't even started looking at the menu stuff. Oh, right, also, because some of this stuff was missing. I need that static metadata name, and, well, you know, everything that I just deleted from up here. Let's just bring all of that back. Except for map name, because I don't need that one. Okay. Campaign enumeration should at least compile then. Map select menu may not. Alright, let's see. How many times do I call enumerate map in there? Just the once. I only enumerate maps once when this menu gets constructed. So that's nice to know. I don't think I want to do whatever this is doing. Actually, I don't think I was even using this in the campaign menu, because... Oh, well, no, I guess I have this campaign details thing that will show the title. That's just like, I guess, when you mouse over or highlight one of the entries in the menu, it can show some details about that further down. But right now I'm just showing the title of the campaign, and that's it. So I don't want to... What was this load cook doing anyway? Oh, well, that's just, yeah. That's basically just repeating some of the same stuff that I already did in the campaign enumeration. I don't need to do that, because that file, I should already have everything that I need out there. Actually, what I can do is just say, you know, the details string for each map. Hi, cat, I'm trying to record a video. This can literally just be, you know, the map name that I saved off previously. I shouldn't need to do anything else there. I'll go ahead and get rid of some of these comments too, because these are outdated. Alright, let's see, what sort of errors am I getting here? Right, I had this concept of a pre-selected campaign. I don't remember what the deal with that was. I probably don't need that. Yeah, and then I call that add level. That becomes add map. Oh, and then again down here when I go to add the map. Yeah, I feel like I have a lot of redundant code in here. I haven't actually looked through some of this stuff in a while. Alright, so this add map function, I believe this is like, so if I have too many maps, I can split them up across multiple pages. And I believe this is like as I cycle between pages, it's just adding all the ones for the current page. But, you know, of course, some of these need to be renamed. Let's see. Because, yeah, I start on a whatever page mat. This is, yeah. Alright, so yeah, that's... That's why I should never just do a replace all without looking at what I'm doing. Alright, so what was it doing here? It would load up the cooked campaign definition file, and then it was... Oh, okay, so this is when it's actually creating like the clickable button on the menu. It was looking at the name of the campaign and then the title of the map, which it could pull from that data. And then, yeah, it just creates, you know, then it creates a button there where it has like the number of the entry in the list and then that text for the title. So I don't need this. I already have map name there, which I can just go ahead and put that directly there. And that may be all I need to do. Alright, so let's see, I guess I'll throw some breakpoints in here so I can make sure this is doing what I want. And, oh well, I guess before I do anything else, I also should actually launch this menu somewhere, shouldn't I? So let's see, where does my campaign menu get launched? From the title screen, when I start a new game, if I have more than one campaign, I open that menu. And then I believe the campaign menu... Yeah, the campaign menu will go ahead and open the character select menu. Which, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and comment that out, and instead of doing that, I will launch a map select menu. I'm clearly not being consistent with my naming here either. I have campaign menu, char cell menu, and map select menu. Alright, I realized as I was doing this I made a mistake. And that mistake should become obvious as soon as I... man, that music is so bad in debug builds. Anyway, it should become obvious as soon as I choose a campaign here. What's going to happen is... I'll just run it. Skip through the breakpoints. Okay. Whatever, I hit something that I wasn't expecting in there. But yeah, this is this is the mistake that I was expecting. Is it's listing all of the maps from all campaigns, because what I really want to do is just enumerate the maps in a single campaign, and that is not what my function is doing. So let's try this again. Enumerate maps should take in the name of a campaign file. And it should not enumerate those. And it shouldn't do that. Let's see. Oh, this get definition map reference function. This is basically just a way that I can, if there's going to be data that I'm seeing frequently, I can sort of cache it off so it stays in memory and I only have to load it up and parse through all the cooked data once. Alright, so let's see. Enumerate maps. This is called from the constructor, so what I really want to do here is make the default constructor private and instead give it a constructor that takes in the file name for the campaign whose maps I'm trying to iterate through. So then down in the campaign menu where I'm opening this the map select menu, I need to know the file name of Hi Cat. Need to know the file name of the campaign. I'm opening Hi Cat, yes I see you. Let's see. Alright. Should probably change the header too. And alright. Yeah, I haven't really talked about the enumerate playable characters function, but essentially I can define playable characters either in campaign data or kernel data, which is what I'm doing typically for this game, but I can also define those in just like arbitrary loose definition files on disk. So I have a lot of ways I could potentially define playable characters, and that's something that I'm hoping to do for Gunmetal Arcadia for the roguelike game, is be able to like add new characters throughout development and after launch. You know, if people keep playing the game and want that sort of longevity, I'm trying to add hooks up front so I can support that. So we'll see. Alright, so now that should be fixed, I should be able to select a campaign. I apologize again for the audio. Alright, yeah. So I can pick a campaign and it will show the maps that live in that one. I can't select either of these because, again, it's looking for this map entry data that doesn't exist in any of these, and of course I can't even get to that one to test it. But it does seem like otherwise this is working more or less as we intend. Heck yeah. Let's see, I guess what I'll go ahead and do now is so I'm debating whether or not I want to allow, I probably do want to allow a campaign to be selected even when there's no metadata specifying an entry map. In the future, I may like suppress the map select menu. I mean, most of this is debug tools anyway. None of this stuff probably is going to ship, or at least not enabled by default. But yeah, so I guess what we'll go ahead and do is I'll leave that text in there. You know, when I say this is like debug stuff, well, the sort of stuff I'm talking about is like that text isn't localized. So even if even if someone did a translation of the game into Russian or whatever, that string there is not going through the localization system. So it's just always going to be in English. So and I'm not going to change that because like there's no reason the map should ever ship missing that data. So all right. um, let's see. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. What am I wanting to do? Oh, right. So this is where it says like the button is disabled if I don't have entry data. I'll just go ahead and comment that out for now. Um, and I guess I'll do the same thing on the map select menu too. So uh, um, I guess at the very least we can see what happens. I think what will happen is it will crash, but well, actually I don't even know what's going to happen once I select something in the map select menu. What? There we go. I'm just going to disable sound for a second here because I'm getting tired of that stuttering audio. Okay, so here and yeah, we have the three maps from the guide and test campaign. I probably need to increase the space between these a little bit more. That's they feel too scrunched up here. Anyway, so yeah, let's say I choose the playground map. I think this is going to crash. Yep. Yeah, that's because it's trying to either jump into a campaign that doesn't exist or jump into a map that doesn't exist. So now I need to go ahead and patch that stuff up. Let's see. Right. So we had this notion of a pre-selected campaign, and this should hopefully point me in the right direction. Oh, well, no, I guess that's basically just, we set that so we can string that along to the character select menu, so that then once from the character select menu we actually launch the game and go into this onSelected campaign function and tell it what we're trying to load. I guess it's going to be in this onSelected campaign function. This is where we're going to look for that entry data. I guess, yeah, this map X, map X, and map Y. This is exactly what I'm looking for because that's going to be, and map name too, that's going to be where we're actually loading the campaign, loading the map. So what I'm going to do now, I guess, is find some way to circumvent this so that I don't necessarily have to have that data. And this should be, I believe that's the only place those are used. Yeah. All right. So oh wait, load entry map. What is this? Oh, so that's that third parameter there to onSelected campaign. So in the character select menu here, yeah, we're saying that we do want to load whatever we've specified as the entry map. I guess reasons why we might not want to do that is if we are loading a saved game or something like that, where we do want to load that campaign, but we are pulling the data for what map we're in and what room we're in from some other location, which would be like the serializer. Okay, but anyway, so we do have this flag set that says we want to load the entry map. I guess what I'm going to do now is find some way to circumvent this path of strictly looking for the campaign to have metadata, and I will, let's see, if I'm selecting a map from the map selection menu, then I already know which map I need to load, and then I can look at its metadata to see if I have the X and Y coordinates. If I'm not doing that, then I have the only way that I know what map to load is if the campaign has this metadata, so that's not going to change. I guess the other scenario is like I don't necessarily have to have the X and Y coordinates specified. I could just assume that we're going to default to coordinates 0, 0, and that might be safe in a lot of cases. So maybe what I'll do is I'll say like if you selected a map from the map select menu, then We'll look for that markup if it exists, but we won't necessarily rely on it. So, all right. I guess where I had this pre-selected campaign, I will actually go ahead and add a pre-selected map. A bit of data there. So yeah, we'll go ahead and say, all right, the map that we want to load is the one with this name. And then we'll enumerate characters, and we'll go through the character select menu, and well, alright, so at some point in the future I will probably need to find ways to support not going through the map select menu, find a way to just say, oh, the campaigns provided this data, so go with that. And in fact, I might do that here in the campaign menu. Before launching the map select, like only launch that menu if the campaign doesn't specify its own data. But for right now, I'm just going to go with the simplest possible thing that I can do here, which would be, actually, I guess the really simplest possible thing would be to say where, yeah, on this load entry map. If we have a pre-selected map, then entry map name equals that. Actually, that right there might work, because then the campaign could stomp over that data if it exists. Well, I'm not sure I want it to stomp over that data. Anyway, you know what? Right now I'm just going to go ahead and make this the else case. And just default to 0, 0, and see if at least that much works, and we can launch the game without crashing. We'll see what happens. Oops. Right. Oops. Obviously, I want those to be outside that condition now. Those are already set to 0, so I don't even need that. Alright. Let's see. Alright. Yeah, so then right after it goes ahead and loads that map, loads the room. And this primary room load function basically looks and says, okay, you're trying to load this map, you're trying to load this room, you're doing all these things, and it sort of compares against the current state. So it says, well, am I already in that map? If so, I don't need to load it. Am I already in that room? I don't need to load it. It sort of early outs in all those possible cases. I guess conceivably there might be some scenario where I would want to be able to jump between multiple campaigns. I could say, am I in this campaign already? Well, then I don't need to load that one. But at least for the time being, I'm considering campaigns to be completely, discrete, separate things. You can never, like jump through a teleporter and go to another campaign. That's a little bit beyond the scope of what I'm doing. Right, I made a change to Xanadu game, which means a whole bunch of stuff has to recompile. Or specifically, I made a change to the header. Yeah, I have this comment here that's like, active campaign data, don't leave this here, which is true. I was just about to say, I don't really like having this data just sitting in the game class. The game class is sort of the catch-all for handling like entity ticking and stuff like that. It's like that's not really where I want to be throwing arbitrary data like that, but you know, whatever ships games. Alright, so let's see, I should be able to select one of these, and I should be able to select one of these, and it should start the game and not crash, hopefully. Yay! Now, it did... Huh. This is not the room that I expected to drop into. What room is that? Oh, wait, maybe it is. I forgot which map it was. Oh, yeah. That is playground map 00. I was thinking of the default map or something, I guess. Anyway, yeah, so it dropped me into the map. I guess dropped me up into the like upper left-hand coordinates. I had some code in Super Win the Game where like if it couldn't find a valid spawn point, it would just drop you in the center of the screen, and at some point I nuked that code, but I probably need to bring it back just for scenarios like this where it's like, well, let's just try to drop you into a room somewhere regardless of whether it has a valid spawn point, which this one does have a spawn point. I'm not sure why it didn't try to use that one. I don't know. Anyway, you know, more bugs to find and fix. But yeah, so that much is working anyway. And then, you know, the nice thing about this, the whole reason that I've been wanting to support this feature is because now, without having to exit the game and relaunch from the editor, I can just, you know, jump into another map. And probably, actually, what I'd want to do is even reduce the number of steps between those. So, you know, maybe without having to like end the game. Because let's see, it's like I have to hit escape, then it's 1 click, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clicks and the escape key to switch to another map, and that's not really ideal. I need to make that sort of thing as fast as possible. Let's see, what else do I want to do? I'm gonna get carried away and just start playing the game here. Well, this video has been going on for not quite an hour. I'm debating whether I should just go ahead and wrap it up or try to do a little bit more work on camera. I guess I can at least talk through some of what the future, what's going on there? Talk through some of what the future work would be. Essentially, you know, like I said, I've been saying over and over throughout this thing, one of my goals would be to have markup specified on the maps as well as the campaigns, so I can specify the X and Y coordinates. So, like, I guess if I got here and I had that pre-selected map that I had picked out from the map select menu, then I could look and see, you know, I guess I would still go into the campaign definition, but then rather than checking for metadata here, I'd go through its maps struct or node and look for a map whose name matched the one I had selected before, and then see if that one had metadata that specified this stuff. And I guess even like in a scenario where I don't select a map from that menu, which probably at some point I'll want to support that as like strictly an optional thing, I guess I could still look and see if that metadata markup exists on the map as an alternative to whatever the campaign might want to specify here. I guess the reason that feels like it might be useful is like for Gunmetal Arcadia 0, you know, I'll probably have some number of levels, and each one, you know, will have some starting point. If you know, die and respawn, it'll go back to the start, and maybe it makes sense for the level to specify that somewhere. I don't know. That some of that is going to get a little bit into how I save the game, how I checkpoint the game, which that stuff is going to work a little bit different from how it worked in Super Win the Game. I've been poking around a little bit at that the last week, but it's not quite ready to show or talk about yet, so that's why I'm doing today's video on this other thing instead. Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and wrap this video up there. I feel like this was kind of a train wreck of a video with all my silly coding mistakes and whatever else. I gotta end on a high note here. Do you want to say hi to my cat? Is that a good high note to end on? Hi, Kit. You want to be on video? No, she's running away. um, as always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the series, if you're enjoying my development blogs at gunmetalarcadia.com, please consider donating to my Patreon campaign so I can continue producing this content on a regular basis. Huge thank you to everyone who is already contributing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.